Welcome everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Climate Hub Davos at the World Economic Forum. Let's wait for the people to get seated, but start as we have some online audience with us via our streaming line. My name is Maija-Stina Rouhiainen-Noinhuiserä, and as a board member of GreenUp, the initiating body of this Climate Hub Davos week, I'm very excited to host you through the next 60 minutes and kick off the Climate Hub Davos week. We will spend the 60 minutes with our host, our key partners, and also an inspiring keynote. But before we dive into those topics and the content, you have probably seen that on your seats you have empty cards. These are our pledge cards, and I encourage you all to think about your relationship with climate and nature and write down any ideas, thoughts, or aspects that our speakers will today talk about that resonate with you. Write them down, and at the end of the event, I will tell you more what to do then with those cards. Now, let me introduce our first speakers, and please welcome me in welcoming our amazing Nicole Keller, the whole visionary behind this Climate Hub Davos, the Executive Director of GreenUp Switzerland, and also Ingmar Rentzhog, the CEO of WeDontHaveTime. Hello, Nicole, Ingmar, all set. Now, an exciting week is ahead of us. And Nicole, it's been very impressive to follow the work of your team, your work and your team's work during the past weeks. If you would have one word to describe the feeling that you're feeling right at the moment, what would that be?
I guess I would say joy. I'm very happy that it is now the starting moment, really, of the Climate Hub the second time, prolonged because of last year's success. And it's just great to see so many people that really want to engage with nature and climate and really want to work on tomorrow's solutions and bring them forward and connect with each other around that.
Great. And if you look at the program, what you have shared with hopefully everyone online has seen it too, it's pretty impressive, a lineup of keynote speakers, some interactive sessions, also immersive experiences. Can you tell us a bit what we can expect from this coming week?
Yeah, there is a lot. Yeah, I think it's really cool to see that there is actually a lot of, as you said, interactivity, and organizations bringing in dancers. We'll have a super cool performance tomorrow morning by the Region Intel troupe, for example. And I think it's really important also because it brings the emotion that I also think we need to really connect with the topic and to then want to get into action. But I'm also very honored, for example, that on Thursday we will have His Excellency Professor Muhammad Yunus here. But big or small, it doesn't matter. I think it's just cool that we can bring so many different people together and from so many different backgrounds, NGO, media, world leaders. We need to do it together. So,
and I think that compared to other WEF events, it's a bit like a different one, this one, what we have here. But you do work together with the World Economic Forum and also with the city of Davos, right?
Absolutely. And I'm very happy that actually these are our super supportive partners in this, and we kind of came up with it all together, and Yeah, it's been a pleasure working with the city for many years. Of course, GreenUp is active throughout the year, not only for 1 week. Actually, we were the ones approaching the World Economic Forum, I think 5 years ago. And the project that we started with is very hands-on, whereby we make sure, or we try to make sure that there is less waste that exists afterwards. So we also have a big circularity project going on the background at the moment.
Green share, right. Good, and we do have this year a fascinating media partner, Ingmar. Welcome. We're happy that you're here. You represent the organization We Don't Have Time. It's a platform, media platform for climate action. And already the name says there's a sense of urgency. Can you talk a bit more about that?
I can, and I was hoping you were going to ask me how I feel.
Oh, how do you feel? Go ahead. What's the one word? The
sorry
one
for
feeling?
killing the party. I'm actually very upset.
Upset?
I'm angry because 8 years ago, together with my co-founder sitting here, more or less 8 years ago exactly, we founded We Don't Have Time.
Mm-hmm.
And was one person responsible for that, and that was Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. When he became elected first time to US president, that became so clear to me that our world leaders will not act on the climate crisis. Mm-hmm. So many things have happened since he got elected, and now he's re-elected. And that made me very angry, because we don't have more time now compared to 8 years ago.
What do you think? What is then the answer to being angry? Because it might be, we do have that audience also to engage with. If we react with anger, what might be the reaction back be? Or is there a way to find solutions? Or do you have a solution, a practical solution in mind? What should we then focus on?
I don't think that being angry is the solution. But sometimes you need to be that to get some energy to keep fighting. What I think we should focus on is to keep just going, keep focusing on the solutions. Mm-hmm. Those 8 years, if you focus on what have happened in the climate space, many things. I mean, one thing, we have actually passed the 1.5 degree target. Mm-hmm. Not permanently yet, but we did it last year. We were above 1.5 degrees. Mm-hmm. That's very bad. But we also passed a lot of other tipping points on the positive side. Half of all the cars are now sold are electric in China. Mm-hmm. We're quite fastly approaching 50% in electric energy or clean energy. Mm-hmm. And so many things are also going in the right direction. So now is the time where we need to just keep going, keep pushing, and that's where I try to focus my energy when I'm not mad. But just today, on the inauguration day of Donald Trump, I'm actually going to stay mad.
Okay, and I hope that's the driving force that will then drive action. Well, the Climate Hub Davos is all about co-creation, Nicole. When you listen to Ingmar, how he describes the solution and following the action, how does that land with you? If you think about the program and people coming together, you have managed to pull together people from different parts, from business, from governmental bodies, from civil society, from media, from academia, and come together at this hub. So what's your vision for this week and then action?
So with anger and joy, I think all the emotions that we actually have as human beings that we need to put to the table, plus all the experiences, including all the failures that we make, right, in trying to solve together the climate crisis for the people that are most under pressure. And I believe it's only together. And as GreenUp, we do that in a very small way. So we often also do like events where we bring people together. And it could be, for example, around the topic of food. And we just see always people need to learn from each other, need to exchange, need to be also motivated by each other and supported. And this is what we're trying to do also this week, to bring all the different perspectives together and then have a feeling of, okay, this is how you're approaching it. Oh, that project I didn't know about. We can build on this together. So that's for me this. People often ask me, what do you really mean with that co-create? And it's just for me a way of saying, hey, we're in this together. Also no need to point fingers. Our motto is less is more. Just start with what you have and be open to each other and build something together.
Mm-hmm. Do you have also that kind of solutions in mind or something more
Absolutely,
specific?
that's part of what we are doing here as well. I think it's super important that we don't feel that we're not lonely.
Mm-hmm.
We need to connect with like-minded people. Extremely many people around the world today are very, very worried. In the young generation, in the old generation. But if you go to social media, etc., you see something else. You just see all the negative news flowing at you. You see this chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So we need now more than ever to talk with other people, with other backgrounds, and if we do that, we will be able to see that we are in the same boat, and that will motivate us. And when we are getting motivation, we will fix this.
Yeah.
So that's super important. But I can also say that when we get together, it's also important to focus on that we are in a big problem. And I have much more hope for this meeting, this international meeting in World Economic Forum here, compared to the last COP meeting in Baku. Because the last COP meeting in Baku was really, I was really surprised when I got there, because most people on the ground, they totally ignored the fact that the US are probably going to leave the Paris Agreement again. They just ignored it, swept it under the carpet. That's not how we need to do. We need to face the reality head on, talk about the problems, and keep going. We can't ignore the problems. I think it's super important that we dare to talk about that global collaboration. What World Economic Forum stands for is threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't do that, I don't think we will have those meetings in the future couple of years ahead.
But I hear that you are still hopeful.
I'm absolutely hopeful.
Perfect.
But hope is not something you have, it's something you do.
Exactly. So, Nicole, what can we then do here, now, and beyond the Climate Hub Davos?
Share the solutions and work on the solutions, that there are many out there. I think it's sometimes also giving more space to, giving more money to those people that are really working boots on ground. I remember a session from last year with the Puyanawara tribe in the Amazon that are really, really fighting to protect the land. And those nature keepers need also support. And it's like also us NGOs often we are seen as, oh, those volunteers, they do this out of passion. No, we really can make a change, and we are making a difference, but we also need support. So I think that is what we can do. The bigger ones can support the smaller ones. We can bring the solutions to scale, we need to share those, and also be honest. I think you brought that up too. There are issues that we need to face, and there are lessons that we have learned. We're not perfect, so also share that. Like, this is what I experienced. These are my lessons, and please use it and learn from it and be better.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other concluding words, or shall we move to the next speaker? We have a representative from the city of Davos here with us. Ingmar.
I don't final words. I think that this is a great initiative, and what gives me hope is that the room is full. But next year, I hope this moves into the Congress Center, and that the other meeting moves here, because we need that space. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ingmar and Nicole. Thank you. And let me welcome Ladina with me to the stage. Ladina Alioth, you are the president of the City Council of Davos. And as Nicole said, she appreciates the collaboration you've had for years. The stage is yours.
Thank you. I take them. Okay. Thank you. As the president of the Direct Council, I welcome you on behalf of the municipality of Davos. It's an honor for me to be part of today's opening. The WEF is committed to addressing ecological issues which have long been integrated into the program. But discussions and actions, they sometimes have a big gap. So I really would love that this one is in the Congress Center and the other one is here. It's a good idea, actually. However, the Climate Hub stands on an independent initiative available to everybody throughout this week. The Climate Hub focuses on key ecological topics, both globally and locally, through various formats such as films, discussions, exhibitions, and more, as Nicole explained to us. Many ecological challenges like the climate change do not recognize national borders and must be considered on multiple levels. Ecological sustainability is of great importance for the municipality, for the city of Davos, as our wonderful mountain landscape are both our home and the foundation of our development and prosperity. The high altitude ecosystem is extremely vulnerable, and it is crucial that we understand ecological boundaries and never exceed them in a long term. We therefore thank GreenUp for this great effort in offering the Climate Hub in this week, and for ensuring that we have access to such an initiative year-round. Thank you so much, and great success for this week.
Thank you, Ladina. Thank you very much. And this is a bit of a funny gift because you are from Davos, but we have actually self-made gifts for our partners. As a token of appreciation, here's some Davos planted herbs for you. And thank you. We really appreciate you being here and kicking off this week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This brings us to our keynote. You probably are already excited to hear from Professor Dr. Johan Rockström from the Potsdam Institute of Climate Research. Johan, are you all set? There, yes, there I can find you. Please, if you can join me and the stage. Hello, I'm Majestina. Good to see you too. So you probably all heard about the planetary boundaries, and you are going to talk us more about that, the research you pioneered, and also do a quick planetary health check with some recommendations. Thank you for joining us, and here's the clicker and microphone.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, fantastic. No, great to be here and being part of this important opening. I think this is a really important moment we have. As we all know, we're facing not only headwinds in terms of many actors represented from policy and business and finance, backtracking at a moment where science is overwhelmingly clear that we are facing potentially unmanageable risks. We're running out of time. Speed and scale are the only currencies that count, and that these two forces are colliding right as we meet now. And therefore, the Climate Hub, of course, is one platform to keep momentum and to keep the dialogue and the science-based assessment, not only on risks, but also on the transformation pathways towards a prosperous and equitable future, really alive and even more acceleration in that direction. What I want to do is therefore to give you even more ammunition in the work of the Climate Hub and in the dialogues here in Davos by giving you a very personal scientific update of where we are. You've all seen this, of course, Copernicus report just a few weeks back. We have, for the first time, experienced a calendar year at 1.5 degrees Celsius, the warmest temperature on Earth over the past 100,000 years, the most expensive year ever in human existence on planet Earth in terms of social and economic impacts. That in itself is fundamental and should be enough for us to act. But that is not what is really worrying us scientifically. This is what is the big concern. We have since 1970, 2014, followed, as you all know, the linear relationship between more greenhouse gases leads to a linear increase in temperature. We followed a 0.18 degrees Celsius, have it as a back of the envelope, 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade of human-caused warming. Now, the last 10 years, we have an acceleration. We have an unprecedented jump in the temperature rise to 0.26 degrees Celsius per decade, and we cannot explain why. But we have many candidates, and we see things happening across the world which are beyond what we had expected. No models can reproduce it. We don't even have the science to explain what's happening. You've seen the sea surface temperature observations now going off the chart. So here you have again 1970, linearly warming year by year, exactly what the climate models have been predicting. And then suddenly the two lines here in fat, 2023 and 2024, goes off the charts. We published together with William Ripple at Oregon State University the 2024 climate State of the Climate report, showing at observation how we follow in gray the linear increase. So we seem to have had a 50-year period of linear changes caused by us in terms of sea ice melt, ocean temperature rise, atmospheric temperature rise, shifts in ecosystems, and then suddenly it goes off the charts for many of these key observations. What is happening? Well, there are many candidates to this, but let me just share with you that there are three dominating factors that we are today considering to be the prime explanating issues. Number one is aerosols. That the biggest paradox, in my view, is that we have human-caused global warming causing a deep, deep climate crisis, which is camouflaged by another massive global environmental problem, namely air pollution, which prematurely kills 8 to 9 million people per year. Now, the air pollution is artificially cooling the planet as an aerosol in our cities, but also in the commercial shipping industry. And the changes we're seeing are occurring much, much faster to clean up the air, which is a positive, which paradoxically has a bump up in climate forcing, which leads to potentially one factor explaining the accelerated warming. Most analysis shows, though, that it cannot explain it on its own. The second candidate is albedo. Is it so that we are experiencing a darker planet? A planet that has so much ice melting, so much changes in cloud dynamics, so much changing in land surface composition, that the planet is simply going from a lighter color to a darker color and therefore absorbing more incoming radiation from the sun. Again, most analytics show so far that it cannot explain everything, but something is happening. There's a paper that came out very recently on this subject. The third and final candidate, the one that concerns me personally most, is, are we seeing a planet losing resilience? We know that biogeochemically, the planet has been remarkably strong in absorbing roughly 56%, or quite exactly 56%, of the carbon dioxide from our fossil fuel burning. Carbon uptake on land is declining. The Amazon rainforest has tipped over from no longer being a net carbon sink. It is today a net carbon source. Is this a first sign of a planet losing its buffer capacity? Here we have the three big line items: albedo, aerosols, carbon uptake capacity. We don't have any answers yet. This is cutting-edge science going on right as we speak. But of course, it leads to the need to really take the crisis seriously. We're so deep into it. And why are we so deeply concerned? Well, it's not only what we're seeing happening right now, it's also that we can today define, based on paleoclimatic data, the so-called, what I call, the corridor of life. You've probably seen this data. To the further to the right is what we normally portray from the IPCC, which is the 1.3 degrees Celsius we've reached today. You see the 1.2 is already an obsolete number. We're heading towards 3.1 degrees Celsius just by the end of this century if we continue burning fossil fuels as today. But we come from a very narrow corridor of life, which is the past 10,000 years of Holocene development. Look at that remarkable stability on planet Earth, 14 degrees Celsius plus minus 0.5 degrees since we leave the last ice age, some 9,000 years ago. This point here, we're hunters and gatherers. We've been existing on planet Earth since this point, 250,000 years ago, surviving 2 ice ages and having 2 interglacials. And the drama is that during this entire period of us being modern humans on planet Earth, we're a few million people, we're hunters and gatherers, we live in caves, we have massive environmental variability every year. We cannot trust rainy seasons, we cannot trust temperatures. We leave the last ice age, and we barely enter this remarkably stable phase, and we go through the Neolithic Revolution. We become sedentary farmers, and off we go in the civilizational journey as we know it today. And now we meet 2025 in Davos, which is a result of this stability on planet Earth. This is well established today. That's the corridor of life. And look at where we are. We have just exited the corridor. We are here in 2024 outside of that corridor, and we're heading to a point which is actually outside even of the widened corridor of life, because the latest science shows that over the past 3 million years, we've never exceeded 2 degrees Celsius of warming. How can it be that we are accepting to follow a path that takes us outside of the life corridor as it has been for the past 3 million years? But that is the reality. That is what's happening right as we speak. This is the latest science, which is so far unpublished. So you're seeing a sneak peek into a paper that we've just submitted. Again, we have just touched this point here. If we're able to decarbonize the global economy as we have agreed in the Paris Agreement, a net zero global economy by 2050, we may be able to follow a pathway that can, over millennia, take us back to the corridor of life. But the only way to succeed is to come back into the safe operating space of planetary boundaries. Because the only thing that can take us back to this stable equilibrium is if the health of the planet is intact. Oceans, permafrost, ice sheets, ecosystems on land. If we continue as today, on the other hand, and continue burning fossil fuels and also losing the stability and resilience of the living biosphere, we risk following this middle path. And that middle of the road path, as you see, does not bring us back. We get stuck up at that 3 degrees Celsius point, which is outside of the 3 million year entire broad corridor of life. Now, if we just add a slightly, let's say that what I told you in the beginning, that the aerosols and the albedo and the carbon uptake reduction capacity, let's assume that that is correct. Then we would actually follow this upper path, which means that we start triggering positive Earth system feedbacks. So irrespective of what we do, the planet starts actually drifting further and further away. Instead of helping us, the planet would, with positive feedbacks, add more carbon, more methane, become even darker, and have less capacity to handle the situation. And we would end up in a future which is more like a 5 degrees Celsius, completely catastrophic, unmanageable future. This is where we are today. We have all the data on this in terms of how we rely on carbon uptake in the ocean and on land, which are these positives from 1850 until today. So we have all the empirics that the planet so far has actually held back on the human-caused loading of greenhouse gases, which is the hockey stick you see above the zero line, but we cannot trust this into the future. So this is why we need a planetary boundary framework for the resilience, the habitability, and the stability on planet Earth. We've come a long way, 15 years of science. We have updated this through 5-year cycles. We today have quantified all the 9 boundaries that regulates the stability, resilience, and health of the planet. 6 of the 9 boundaries are outside of the safe space. So this is the key message to humanity. We have a climate crisis because we're outside of the safe boundaries on both radiative forcing and carbon dioxide. And we're doing exactly this while at the same time undermining the living biosphere. Biosphere integrity, land system, fresh water, and biogeochemistry, nitrogen, phosphorus. We're actually inside the safe space on aerosol loading because we're cleaning up the cities in the world. But that is, as I told you earlier, showing this paradoxical consequence feedback on climate. But that is where we are today. That's why we in the scientific community has said we can no longer just do a 5-year update on the safe operating space and the transgression of the boundaries. We've now promised the world to do an annual planetary health check. The first one was released, that's what you see on the screen here, at the New York Climate Week in September 2024. We are, to put it simple, bringing the planet to the doctor once every year to do a full integrated diagnostic of the health situation. This is the 2024 first health check, and it confirms that 6 of the 9 boundaries are outside of the safe space, the green part of the safe space. Here you have the boundaries. You enter a danger zone, which is the scientific uncertainty range in science, and once you pass this point, you enter what we call high-risk zone. It doesn't mean that the planet collapses, but the planet loses, the evidence shows, losing buffering capacity. The arrows here are, for the first time, put in the analysis. And as you see, unfortunately, the arrows are still pointing in the red direction. So in the 2025 update, which we're working on right now, we are unfortunately likely to see ocean acidification moving potentially into the danger zone. So we are still not at a point of a turnaround. When we put all this together, we end up in this diagnostic. This is a brave graph, and this is basically where I end this diagnostic. We take here a box plot with all the 9 boundaries and place them at the median point. And I think this is actually probably, if you would ask experts in Earth system science, they would say, yeah, this is probably a very good assessment of where we are. We're outside of the safe, healthy position. We're no longer in that Holocene state, but we have not yet lost it. We're not in the red for the entire planet. We're in the yellow zone. We're in a danger zone. Things can go wrong. The aerosols, the carbon uptake, all the work that we have been discussing so far. But we need a transformation to come back very rapidly to have any chance of holding the line. So what has been released here at the World Economic Forum showing that we are today already seeing impacts on the economy, 7% earning decline already by 2035 if we continue as we are today. Latest economics assessments show that we have a 20% decline in GDP by 2050 if we continue allowing ourselves to be in that yellow zone. The path forward is really steep. Now we're talking about a global carbon budget to come back within a safe space, which is down to 200 gigatons. That's equivalent to 4 years of emissions. This is the path we need to follow. This is what we are to discuss just with regards to the energy transition, to reach 0 by 2050, to have any chance of remaining within that budget. The problem is that we are heading towards overshoot, that even if we are able to decarbonize very rapidly, we are already at a point where there's so much climate forcing in the pipeline that we are very likely going to pass through the 1.5 in a 10-year average. Remember that we touched 1.5 in 2024 as a calendar year occurrence, but the IPCC measures global mean surface temperature as a 10-year average, and the 10-year average point is likely to be breached somewhere between 2030 and 2035, and we have a 30-40 year period overshoot before potentially coming back to 1.5. This is the best science can offer today. We assess at the Potsdam Institute that we can no longer hold 1.5 without ever breaching it. So what you see here is a period where it will get worse before it gets better. We'll have more fires, droughts, heat waves, human-reinforced hurricanes before we potentially come back into a manageable future below 1.5. And of course, why would we come back? Why would the planet settle back after overshoot? We know this. It's the planetary boundaries. It's the health of the planet. It's a resilient living biosphere that can uphold carbon uptake capacity. That's why we are so concerned about this factor. So I leave you with this point for the Climate Hub here in Davos. We meet 2025 at a very pivotal point. You know, where will the planet move at this point? Can we keep the momentum going? Can we keep the scientifically aligned landing zone as the North Star for our development? Or are we going to leave Davos feeling that we're actually losing momentum and starting to move backwards at a point where we actually have to accelerate moving forward? That's why these dialogues are so incredibly important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johan, for such a powerful and important reminder. Here's a little gift for you. This is in the spirit of GreenUp. It's self-made. Thank you for bringing the voice of the scientific community to Climate Hub Davos. It was much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Good luck with the work of the Hub.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is something what I hope all of you here in the audience or online at home or in the office take with you when you have these follow-up conversations. And we are here in Davos at the World Economic Forum. Nicole already said that this all would have not been possible without the support of the World Economic Forum. And that's why we have also one of our key partners here with us. May I welcome Gill Einhorn to the stage. You come from the WEF Center for Nature and Climate. There you go, Gill.
Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. I don't know about you, but when I was sitting in the audience listening to Johan, I observed in my body, my heart started racing, my stomach started dropping, I started feeling a little bit nervous, I got a bit sweaty, and I realized we're in a bit of a tough spot. What are we going to do? How are we going to respond to this? And we in the Center for Nature and Climate at the World Economic Forum are thinking through the journey that we can take businesses on here this week, through the year, and every year that we come through to Davos, to your community, to see you, and also to have really important conversations about how we take our next step. And at the forum, we have observed that there are companies that are backtracking, there are governments that are backtracking, and there are individuals who are perhaps not taking this as seriously as we would like. And so we've done a lot of thinking about, well, what's actually going on here, and how do we help to take that next step forward? How do we build that momentum that Johan was speaking about? How do we move into that net zero, nature positive, circular, resilient world that we know that we need? So what I'd like to do today is just share a few of the things that we'll be speaking about in the Congress Center, but also some of the thinking behind that, of why we're doing what we're doing, and the opportunity space that we are creating to help make sure that we're moving in the right direction. The first thing I'd like to flag is that it's normal to have a trauma response to this kind of scientific analysis. Because if you're not having a trauma response, then there's something that is not cognitively connecting to the level of the risks that Johan is talking about. And so if you do have your heart racing, and if you are experiencing your stomach dropping, and if you are feeling worried, that's okay, because that's normal. It's a normal response to existential threat. Now the question is, we're in that trauma response, how do we move forward? And I don't know if any of you have heard about the Stockdale paradox, but this is a fabulous tool which we've used within the forum to help people to understand what this is and how to move forward. So James Stockdale was a prisoner of war. He was in Vietnam, and he managed to survive a prisoner of war camp when many other people died. And when he came out of the camp, there were only a few prisoners, and somebody said to him, well, what was it, James, about your reaction to your situation that led you to survive? How is it that you survived when many others died? And he said, well, it was really interesting to see in the camp there were three kinds of prisoners. There were those who got so inundated by the trauma response that they were not able to self-advocate. They were not able to step up and take any action. They got caught in fight, they got caught in flight, they got caught in freeze, they got caught in fold, and they died. On the other end of the spectrum, there were prisoners who were like, it's okay, we're going to get out. It'll all be fine. We're going to get out tomorrow. Okay, oh, it's already tomorrow. Okay, we're going to get out next week. We're going to get out next month. In the nature and climate space, that's the equivalent of let's kick the can down the road. Technology will save us. There's nothing we need to do. They also died because they got so disappointed. And he said there was a small category of prisoners who were able to both look in the face the hard realities of the crisis they were in, whilst also seeing very clearly the opportunity space and the positivity and maintaining that optimism. And he said that was the category of prisoners who survived. But it's very difficult from a behavioral cognitive psychology perspective to do that, because we tend to either get caught in the trauma or we tend to focus on the optimism, and it's very hard to walk that middle ground. And so what we at the forum are trying to do is to give platforms to people like Johan to share those hard realities, because we need to hear them. And we need to fully embed what is actually happening on the planet at the moment. We need to see that in the... And it's super to see the planetary health check is such a revolution in science to help us have that check every year. It's incredible because previously science only had every 6 to 8 years an update. But now we've got it every year, which is great because it shows us transparently what's happening. It gives us that stock take. But at the same time, we need the path towards the solutions. And so that's what we're also building. And within the Center for Nature and Climate, we have many initiatives on the net zero path, on the nature positive path, on resilience, on circularity, to help ensure that we are moving companies in the right direction, creating positive cycles of competition. In fact, we harness that tendency of companies to compete for good, to say, okay, let's create a first movers coalition. Let's pull the CEO climate leaders together. Johan and I were just with the CEO climate leaders talking about the need for urgent resilience. This is the group of those who are mitigating climate change, who have said, actually, we're needing to be working on adaptation and resilience at the same time. To Johan's point on the report that we launched, this is business on the edge. It's no longer an option for business to respond to this. It's a fiduciary responsibility of boards. And we're seeing CEOs waking up to that. And we're seeing legal departments waking up to it. And we're seeing a huge amount of action and awareness that never existed there before. So there's a lot of possibility in that space. But we're also needing to share those very hard facts. And so that's the line that we're weaving. And for me, it's very exciting to see Climate Hub and the work that you're doing here, because I see that ability to weave those two narratives together. And if I look at your program, I can see the possibilities and the solutions and all of those innovations that you're bringing together and you're profiling. And I can also see the hard-hitting facts and the tough realities. And we're going to need to find our way between that. So perhaps if I can leave you with just one thought, it's don't shoulder this burden all by yourself. The point of the World Economic Forum is collaboration. We know this is a wicked problem. No one actor can do this alone. Johan can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. But what we need is every person to do their part and to trust everyone else to do their part. And in that way, we can build up the resilient systems. We can respond in innovative ways to the risks that we're seeing. And we can help to ensure a net zero nature positive future if we really each take our own step. So that would be my encouragement, and my question to you is, what is the step that you're committing to take? What is it that you can do to help to support this great ambition? And how can we collaborate better together through GreenUp and the Climate Hub, through collaboration with the Mayor of Davos, through our collaboration with the World Economic Forum, to help make sure that each of us is stepping up when others may not be? Thank you.
Thank you, Gill. It's really, really wonderful that you came. And can I just ask a quick question? What was the reaction from the business leaders?
It was very, very interesting to see. I mean, there was a great recognition, and there was a frustration, actually, of why are people not more angry about where we're at? Why are we not getting more support for the net zero work that we're doing? And how can we help individuals to understand that business also needs to be able to communicate about what's happening? One of the big challenges in business at the moment is because of all the mis and disinformation in the space, they don't share their amazing stories of change, even though they exist. And that's such an irony. We've created such a toxic landscape of mis and disinformation in the space that companies don't want to share the good work that they're doing. And so what we're looking to do is to help to encourage them to do that, and to do that with full credibility and authenticity, but also to do that knowing that not everybody is going to do the same, and that they may also experience backlash from that, but that it's worth communicating anyway.
I think that's a really great message to end this session with. And I also thank you with a local pine salt gift from Davos. Thank you so much for supporting us. And now I'll hand over to Majestina to close it up.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And that was, again, a very clear call to action. And that brings us not back to Ingmar's feeling of anger at the beginning of the session, but to those pledge cards. So all of you have small cards at your seats. And it's actually a seat card. I hope you were writing your thoughts during Johan's speech, or ideas, what to do next, how will I take action. I would encourage you to write that down. And in the spirit of co-creation, we have also creatives here at the Climate Hub Davos. We have a poet and we have an illustrator who can take that pledge from you and level it up. So if you want to have a beautiful image made out of it, Annie Doré from our team is happy to create one for you. And in that spirit, I would like to finish with the words of our poet, Paolo Gambi. He has beautifully captured the spirit of today's session and also the spirit of the Climate Hub Davos. He writes, "Don't strive to save nature. There's no need. Be part of it." With that, thank you all. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week here at the Climate Hub Davos 2025, and I hope to see you soon to co-create our future.